That made everybody happy about going to the jailhouse that night. And it made Queen Mother happy about standing for what she believed in. All right, now, the next thing that happened to Queen Mother, they decided to go across the bridge. You know that stuff. They made one attempt, and it didn't work because Governor George Wallace decided there would be no march from Selma to Montgomery. And as a consequence, the state troopers lined up to block it. And when the state troopers lined up, they wanted to kneel and pray. But they didn't get a chance to do that. They were trampled by horses, beaten by sticks. And Queen Mother was beaten down on the street at the foot of the bridge. Now Queen Mother said a state trooper came to her and said, "You run." All right, got another question for you. Did Queen Mother run? No. No. Boy, you guys are smart. She did not run. So he struck her across her back with a nightstick. They was carrying a long stick, looked like a little baseball bat. And then Queen Mother looked at him. He looked at her and said, "I said run." And she said, "I say I ain't running." So the next time he cracked it was down across her neck, shoulder blade. And boom, she went down, unconscious, left for dead. Somebody told Sheriff Jim Clark that there was a woman over there, and they believed that she was dead. Sheriff Jim Clark said, "If there's somebody dead over there, let the buzzards eat them." That black man that day, I have to give him credit. I don't know who he was, but he told Sheriff Jim Clark, "If you don't go get that woman, we're going to burn this town down." So we went and sent a hearse from the funeral home to go get her, just in case she was dead. She survived and lived many, many times, months, years later. Now, that's that story, but I want to tell you about an even more serious, life-threatening situation that Queen Mother had. She came to Tuskegee. She married another man. They went to Savannah, Georgia. And they decided to go from one island to another on a boat. And they was on a small boat. And they was in the, what do you call that thing, Savannah Harbor. A big boat came down through there, made big waves, and turned their little boat over. Now Queen Mother could not swim. The captain of the boat drowned. Her husband drowned. Another person on the boat drowned. She and her best friend was dumped into the water. Her best friend called to her, "Amelia, don't let me die. Don't let me drown." Amelia can't swim a lick herself. And the woman went down once, and she went down twice. And when she came up the second time, Amelia grabbed her red coat and somehow miraculously held her up above water. They held both of them up above water. A bunch of young people who was out joyriding on their boat saw all this splashing in the water and all this debris. They came over, pulled Queen Mother and her best friend out of the water. Now her best friend died the next day in the hospital. But Queen Mother went on to live to be 103 years old. Now, I got another question for you. How did Queen Mother survive that situation? I heard somebody say it. It had to have been God. And it had to be that she was so right in what she was here to do that God wanted to keep her here so she could keep on doing it. Now, that's that story. And now we get to what we came here for. We recognize some people that are very special. We have a board of directors of 5 people. They are me and Reverend Jones and artist Ronald McDowell and Brother Moore, Alfonso Moore, and Miss Sharon J. Hill. And each year, we are determined to keep Queen Mother's legacy alive. We got to do that, okay? And each one of us have the opportunity to choose a person that we feel competent that would deserve Queen Mother's favor. And these are the people that we have chosen this time. And then we have a criminal justice person that we choose every year. And we look at everything the law enforcement and the courts and everybody are doing around the country. And we bring the names forward. And all the board vote on who is going to be the criminal justice recipient for the year. And you'll be pleased this year with our decision, I think, on all of these
Thank
things.
you, Chief. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I nominated Reverend Clifford E. Jones, who is the pastor of the Greater Peace Missionary Baptist Church in Opelika, Alabama. He also serves as the president of the Southeast Wing of the Alabama State Missionary Baptist Convention. The reason I nominated Reverend Jones is that he has served the Greater Opelika community for 26 years as pastor of Greater Peace. And he has done some really great innovative things there in that community. He is well respected in the Lee County community. They have an active prison ministry. They have an active evangelistic ministry that goes forth in the Opelika community. They also have developed a Greater Peace Community Development Corporation, which has as one of its projects a child development center in which they are raising up the next generation of leadership. But probably the crown jewel and the one that stuck out to me the greatest is that they built a small entry-level, low-income housing community there in the Opelika area, which has provided home ownership for people who probably would not have had the opportunity to be homeowners. I thought that that was appropriate because you all helped me out. A few years ago, there's a county here in Alabama that disenfranchised a whole community of black folks, and many of them moved to Tuskegee and settled in this community. And they were able to disenfranchise them by stating and passing an ordinance that if you were not a property owner, you could not vote. Naturally, as the election took place and they put in place all of the people they wanted, they then systematically moved this community of black people out of this county. Home ownership is important. It gives us the opportunity not only to generate wealth, but it also communicates to our children a sense of permanence, that we are here and we will be here. And as my granddad used to tell me, buy land because they're not making any more. So I submit to you all tonight one of our recipients of the Amelia Boynton Robinson Legacy Award is Reverend Clifford Jones, the pastor of Greater Peace Missionary Baptist Church of Opelika, Alabama.
And his plaque is on top back there if you want to read it.
And I'm accepting his plaque on his behalf. Reverend Jones couldn't make it tonight, but we are thankful to have the opportunity to present this to him. Thank you.
A great honor for this today that we have. Speaking to what little Amelia said of Mother, that you have the right to vote, it is something that we must remember. It is paramount for today, and it actually speaks mounds because tomorrow is Queen Mother's birthday. It also is the 99th anniversary of the 19th Amendment giving women the right to vote. So for this, from the legacy of Queen Mother Amelia Platt's Boynton Robinson, Barbara Arnwine, and she is in Maryland, but she is a national treasure. Barbara Arnwine has been a voice, a trailblazer, actually. Let us really say that, because she has brought out to us the ills of voter disenfranchisement, the gerrymandering, oppression, suppression, voter suppression, all of the tactics, poll taxes. That's what it amounts to when you have to pay for an ID. Over the years, she has been the voice to bring it and show us, of all things, a map of shame of all the states and how they were gerrymandered, how, as you just said, about being moved out of a district. It still goes back to the basic fact of taxation without representation. We must not forget that, because that is what Queen Mother stood for, and that is what Barbara Arnwine has led through the years, making you know, making you understand what is really going on. She is the co-founder of the Lawyers Committee on Civil Rights, and if you know this number that you're supposed to call on election day, this is from Barbara Arnwine. Election protection. For almost 20 years now, this is what our safeguard has been for what goes on election day, for you to call if you have any issues at the polls. So with this, and now her coming full circle for the organization's Transformative Justice Coalition, effectively rounding out the legacy of Mother Boynton with reaching our youth and making sure that they are on the ground. It is with this that Lift Our Vote has been brought under the Transformative Justice Coalition. Barbara Arnwine was chosen to be the co-chair of the National Commission for Voter Justice 2 years ago by Reverend Jesse Jackson, and has traveled. We have gone around with our hearings, hearing from people, issues that you have, and made reports from the different states across the country. Just recently, again, from Selma Jubilee, embracing Lift Our Vote with these awesome young women, Jessica Fortune Barker and
Jessica Foster.
Yes, they're all here. We have Barbara on the phone. Without any further ado, we need to hear from Ms. Barbara Arnwine. Barbara Arnwine, you're on.
Thank you so much, one. You have no idea how profoundly honored I am by this award. You know, obviously, Shiro, I had the honor of, meeting her and speaking directly to her on a couple of occasions. Her gifts of fighting for justice have not only been an inspiration, of course, to me, but an inspiration.
Chairman of the Board, Chief Leon Frazier, would like to have a word. Just a moment.
Yes.
Hello there, and how are you?
I am doing well. This award has just made me, you have no idea, I got the biggest grin on my face. There's barely any room in this whole house for anything, because I'm just so happy and overcome and overjoyed.
Okay.
Well, all I know is that Sharon told us that you was all right. So if Sharon said that she was all right, and she has something going on. You know, you can tell I'm from the country.
No, you know, Alabama has set the way. It has set this nation on fire twice. We know that we have a fight, you know, for everything because of the people of Alabama. I can't wait to be in Alabama in October. But we'll be doing some work together on voting rights. So I am just so tickled that you just keep on doing what you're doing, and I'm so happy that you're here to make this program so great. Thank you.
Okay, and Sharon has assured us that she's going to find an opportunity, you know, in an appropriate place to present this award to you that will have the same kind of oomph that it would have had if you had been here today. And now you are loved by a room full of more people than you were before. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome and bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you all for allowing that. And I don't think, does she know that little Miss Amelia is here wearing, Barbara, the election protection apron?
All right now.
Okay. That's right. That is correct. Okay. Well, bless everyone. And again, we accept this on behalf of Barbara Arnwine. Bless you all.
Mr. Guy Trammell coming forward. Original Tuskegean. And the reason I nominated Mr. Trammell, the group of young children you saw on the back table earlier, I belong to a school that was built in when I first started first grade. The school was built in 1903 by Booker T. Washington and students from the university. So we bought the school, and the school shut down and made a museum. It's a historic site, a 501c3 museum, and he brought them out to Harrisburg School for a program, and their organization is the Tuskegee Youth Haven, and Mr. Trammell here is the CEO and director, and he also is the board, he's the head man over at the food pantry, Mr. Trammell. So I'll let Mr. Trammell speak for himself. I know it's getting kind of late, so he's going to be short.
Okay, just say good evening, everyone. And when you think of Queen Mother Amelia Boynton Robinson, there's just so many different things with the food pantry in particular. The children at Safe Haven were able to bring fresh fruits and vegetables to her, but she became the mentor for them. I remember the day we brought them by, and she sat all of them down. We had about maybe 18 of them. They sat all in front of her on the carpet. She said, okay, now pull out your paper. Well, they did have some notebooks with them. And he said, okay, I want you to add this number. She went through all 4 parts of mathematics. And then she said, okay, now let me check them. And she didn't use the paper to check them. Now, this was in her 90s, okay? And anytime we did the, Martin Luther King March, and I know Chief remembers that, when Norma remembers that also, we would do the march for Sammy Young. We'd stop by her house, and she would come out and talk with them, greet them, and sometimes have full sessions with them in the house also. As a result of her, when Obama came, they were able to spend the night in the museum in Selma because they arranged it with her cousin there. And the children that you saw, little Miss Amelia, were able to be there and actually help run that museum and be able to see President Obama. She continually reached out, and one of the stories I want to tell you real quick that you might not hear about, one of our assistants with our program, after school program, came and he had told me he actually didn't believe in God. But when we came into the room to have that session with Queen Mother Amelia Boynton Robinson in her bedroom, it was on Martin Luther King Day, he said he experienced love like he'd never known before. That's the effect that she had on people. And the children all the way down had just learned to revere her and love her, and she just gave so much for that. And you know that that's why we have the free lunch program now, because she talk with the Secretary of Agriculture for that, not to mention the voting rights bill. But anyway, this is an honor. This is just an honor to be here among you all. And the only thing I'll say is, remember that four-letter word, we have to continue to keep it before us to vote. When a person in the home next to us or people talk apathy, we got to remind them they still have the power to what? Vote. And when we get discouraged and look up at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and are not satisfied, and when we look around, you know, possibly even the ones in Congress are not satisfied, we do know that we can do something. We can do what? Vote. We got to remember to tell other people there is hope because we can vote.
On behalf of the Village of Hope organization, who is making this presentation in the name of Mr. Peter Robinson, give you this.
And in the language that I first started school in Bahasa, Indonesia, I say, Terima kasih Banduk. Thank you very much.
Okay, next person up would be Ms. Joy Walker.
Ronald McDowell.
Yeah, Ronald McDowell is in California. And he was scuffling to try to make it back in time, but but he could not make it back in time. So his award, I cannot school you on the woman that he nominated, but I can assure you, just like Sharon J. Hill, if Ronald McDowell said that she was all right, well then we know she was all right. And this is Amelia Platt's Boynton Robinson Legacy Award, the matriarch of the voting rights movement. Truth and Sacrifice Matters, presented to Joy Walker for unselfish, bold, and outstanding community service during a period when truth, sacrifice, and honesty matter. On this 17th day of August 2019, the Village of Hope, the Honoree Chief Frazier Chairman, and the slogan is at the bottom that says that a voteless people is a hopeless people. That was what her and her husband represented. You have to go register to vote. Okay? Now moving right along is my choice. Let me tell you about this young man that I chose. I've done a lot of video over the last 15 to 20 years. But when T100 did not work, it hurt this community. It hurt our heart. Because so many of us were set on the fact that a major airplane manufacturer was going to be situated at Moton Field down here, and it was going to bring 700 jobs in this community, and we would be able to rise like a jet. And it didn't happen. And that cut us. And we've been cut so many times, and we didn't do anything about it. You know, we just get hurt and we let it go. It's kind of like a battered woman in a marriage situation. You get beaten and you take it, and you get beaten and you take it, and you get beaten and you take it. And then all of a sudden, that beater feel like he got a right to do it, and you have given him permission to do it, and therefore it just keep on keeping on. So a bad word adds up to a push, and then the push adds up to a slap, and slap end up as a knockdown, knockdown lead into a stomping, and a stomping lead into a killing. We came together. I invited 64 people in this town, the right people in this town, to come together and let's say, what do we do about being thrilled and taken all the way up here and then dropped. You have to deal with those kinds of situations. So we came together and we started thinking, talking, and examining and evaluating and making some decisions about what it is that you're going to do. Now, when we had that meeting, I videotaped that. That was the most valuable video that I had done in this town. 3 hours of video. And I had so many things running through my mind. I took up my video camera and my tripod and all that stuff, rushed out, put it on the ground, unlocked my truck, put some of the stuff in there, hopped in my truck, drove off and left all my video stuff in the parking lot. And I was gone 15 minutes before I discovered that I didn't have my video equipment. Now I turned around on 2 wheels almost, rushed back to the parking lot. Was my camera there? No. Sure wasn't. You guys are still smart. We got to get all the questions right. All right, everybody in here gets an A. All right. Now, I went to pieces. Like the mayor just said, when he was looking for his telephone, I lost it. Okay? And as cool as I am, and all the fires that I've been through, and all the conflicts that I have managed, and conflict resolutions, and all that kind of stuff, I lost it. So the sheriff called me, and he said, have you gone back and checked on the videos in the area? Yeah. Well, I should have thought about that myself. But I lost it. And I went down and checked all the videos. Well, they didn't have anything covering that part of the lot. Okay? And then I went home. And I'm going through 1,000 changes. And Pat Wallace from the Communication Center called me. He said, have you gone back to the spot that you had it, did a video, put it on Facebook and YouTube, and call for somebody to contact you? No, I should have thought of that myself. I video stuff, taping stuff every day. But I'm saying this to tell you, other people, everybody needs somebody. Because there comes a time when you can lose it. I don't care how tough you think you are, or how bad you think you are. And when other people love you enough to step in to just prick your mind, to say, do this or do that, or have you done this or that, that's that village that's helping you to survive. So I went back up to the lot. I did a video, rushed back home, put it on Facebook, YouTube, and now I'm wondering, well, man, I messed up. I'm blaming myself. And then, after a while, I came to my senses. And I said, where is your faith? Why are you running around here worried about a cotton-picking camera and a tripod when you know that you have faith that you'll be all right? You take your butt home, that little voice told me, and get in the bed and go to sleep and get you some rest. And take it to the Lord, like your grandmama said, and leave it there. That's what I did. Woke up the next morning, I went to church, came back, got on my computer, and here's a message from a Tuskegee University student. If you are Mr. Frazier, I have your camera equipment. Whoa! I said, all right, Faith. I'm a bad joker now. I knew I got God by my side. All right? And so what I found was in my investigation, that young man came out of a store He saw the camera equipment on the lot. He saw several people standing around looking at it. He decided that, yeah, I'm going to take this step because I know I can probably help somebody recover. So he took it, so could nobody else take it. And we met up. I told him where I lived. He came by. And I complimented him for being an honorable young man that Tuskegee can be proud of. That's twice tonight that Tuskegee can be proud. And I had a $100 bill that I just had to give him, and I said, look, man, you take this because I really do appreciate it. I had to make that boy take that $100 because he just didn't want to do it. He felt that what he did was out of kindness, out of love, and out of respect, and that's it. But when I put my grandpa voice on him and looked at him, gave him that look that our grandmama used to give us, he went on and took the $100. Made me feel good twice because he made me feel good for being so honorable, and now he made me feel good for me being able to reward him. All right? So then he gets my award. It reads the same as the other one, so I won't read it again. But I called him and asked him where he was, and being a college student, no telling where he is. So I'll just find an appropriate setting so that other people can appreciate his honesty and get it presented to him. And his name is Alfred Allman, spelled very unusual, A-L-L-M-O-N-D. All right. This brings to a conclusion, except we have a situation where all 5 board members look at what's happening around the country in criminal justice. Everybody's dogging the judges and dogging the courts and dogging the police and everything you can say about a negative criminal justice official. You can always get somebody to go along with you. Nod their head, oh child, you right there, you know, all that kind of stuff. But we had 4 situations that the nominations for the Criminal Justice Legacy Award. And we had a very unusual presentation. So I'll get to it first. This award, there was a state trooper named George Thomas, and he ran up on a black woman who was stranded on the freeway, and he got out of his car, went over, helped her change her tire, called hell getting the old rusty jack to work. She tried to get him to leave it alone because she had an automobile service named Jack Rabbit coming. And the trooper told her that you cancel that jackrabbit because I got this.
All right.
All right. So he was one of the nominees. The Tennessee governor, Bill Haslam, he granted clemency to a young black woman who was into a sex trafficking situation, killed her assailant, went to prison, stayed in there for a number of years, and was to stay in there for 51 years. But this governor, and I remind you that he's white because we're always talking about what white folk don't do too. This white governor saw enough in this young black woman to grant her clemency, and she walked free last week. The next nominee was a Captain Ron Johnson. When Ferguson happened, and buildings was being burned, and tanks and military machines was being pulled out on black folks, and black folks was facing rifles and guns and raising hell and burning buildings, the governor of that state and let me find his name because his name is important. Governor Nixon of Missouri chose a black captain, Ron Johnson, as the peacemaker as far as law enforcement was concerned for Ferguson, Missouri, and put that black captain in charge of all security for that area. That black captain pulled off his bulletproof vest, got out into the street, marched and sung and talked with the people, and helped to spearhead peace in that community. Now, those guys was doing pretty good. They had us buzzing. I was sending stuff through the computer to the board members. But then a woman decided, for some reason, either purposely or non-purposely, to drive her car off into Tuskegee Lake. And the Tuskegee Police Department responded. The fire department responded. And they were on the bank of the lake, staging and getting prepared to rescue this woman. Now, a police sergeant from Tuskegee University heard the call, didn't have nothing to do with it, could have just stayed right on over to Tuskegee University and listened to the radio to see what they were going to do. But he left the university, came into Tuskegee, went over to the lake, saw the officers and the fire department firefighters staging, and he decided that since the woman was in the lake, he needed to be in the lake. Poured off his stuff, the heavy stuff that we have to wear, you know, went out into that lake at night and rescued that woman out of her car. And that was Sergeant Jeffrey McKinstry. And he is here tonight. And I'm telling you, man, you are my kind of cop. That's the way it is. All right, now this is a very unusual presentation, but we put it all together, your competition all along the way. We want you to ever remember who you was up against and how you came out on top of this. And it was a very soul-searching decision, because at first I was with Captain Johnson from Ferguson. And by the time it rolled around and all of us started saying, what? Went into the lake at night and got this woman while all those other guys were staging. It's going to be Sergeant Jeffrey McKinstry. All right. And that award we give to you. And in order to tie you and Queen Mother together, it will read the same as the others, so I won't read it. But I want you to have with you for the rest of your life the woman that we have been talking about that represents the kind of courage that you represent. Yes. And I want you to know that you just need to keep on keeping on and doing what you are doing, because you made the best decision in a serious moment. Number one, you made a decision to leave your jurisdiction. You could have gotten fired for that. The next most valuable decision you made was to go to the person who needed you most. All right, now that's all I got to say about it. And the mic is yours.
All right,
Now, why did you do that?
First thing, I've always wanted to be a police officer so I could help people. And that's what I come to Tuskegee to do. I actually was staying in Talladega And the sheriff, David Warren, called me and said, look, I know you're from Macon County. Won't you come back and join my team? So I done that back in 2006. He sent me to the police academy. I worked with him until he left. When he left, I joined Lester Patrick at the city because they were policing together and they were much alike. I stayed with him until he left. Then I come along, Chief Martis, which he's an old school police officer like the rest of them and easygoing. So I joined him. I'm going to continue to serve Tuskegee regardless where I'm policing at, because this is where I grew up and was raised at in Macon County, north of Tuskegee in North Southern. So with that being said, I want to thank God, I want to thank the community and everybody else for the support, and I want to thank y'all for nominating me for this award.
Queen Mother was a blessing to us. When we first met her, I thought that she was just the most amazing woman I had ever met. And she was so sweet. But one of the things that I remember the most about Queen Mother is she always told her, do not stand on her shoulders, to get out there and do the work ourselves, and do our work ourselves. So that's to Queen Mother.
I have much to say except for I did get a chance to meet her, and she was a wonderful person.
Queen Mother set the bar for all of us, and through her legacy, we get to have an opportunity to make a difference in the world for everybody.
An honor and a privilege to be here today to learn a whole lot about Queen Mother, and definitely encouraged, and it's been a blessing just to know about her. She was an amazing individual.
Thank you, Queen Mother, for everything you've done for us, and she's truly a God-sent person, and we all learned a lot from her.
The hurt, harm, and danger that she went through, we don't have to go through that. She fought for us to have rights. If we don't have to go through what she had to go through, there's no excuse for us not to vote. We need to encourage and empower people, especially our youth, to go out, to register to vote, to encourage others to do the same.
Queen Mother did what she did with courage and without hesitation, and she led by example. A lot of people in different positions taught. She was a person that took action, and she took action on behalf of other people, not just about herself, more about her family, her community, and this nation.
Queen Mother inspired a lot of people. One of the people that she inspired the most, I think, was Harriet Oliver. Harriet became the caregiver for my mother, and she never missed a day of work or was never late. And that was because of the things that she learned from Queen Mother, and she still talks about her even now. So that was a great inspiration.
My name is Kathy Jones. Queen Mother was a jewel, great example, and we appreciate God for sending her this way.
I'm Norma McGowan Jackson. I remember Queen Mother growing up as a young person in the community. We belonged to the same church. She was a force of nature is the only way I can describe her. Just so much inspiration, and I think if she were here today, given the conditions that we are facing, that she would be encouraging every single person who is over the age of 18 and eligible to register to vote. Please do so, and please vote.
I am Lawrence Oliver King Sr., fourth generation Tuskegee. I didn't have the fortune of meeting Queen Mother Moore, even though she was one of my neighbors. But I am very inspired to do for the community on her shoulders. My passion is tennis, and I take the kids to around the country representing Tuskegee and trying to give them the community the inspiration that they need to bring more kids to us.
Yes, Alfonso Moore, Miss Robinson, and my aunt, Miss Fanny Bingham, was the best of friends, and I spent a lot of time with both of them together. I really missed her. I really miss her now, Miss Robinson.
My name is Guy Trammell. My mother, Florence Trammell, introduced me to Queen Mother as a young man. She became one of my mothers in the community, and again, God blessed her to outlive the Jim Clarks and the George Wallaces to be able to come across that bridge with Barack Obama with love, perseverance, and the same message. Voteless people is a hopeless people.
Bonnie Peterson from New York, and I chose to visit at the right time to hear the story about Queen Mother, who set the pace. Thank you.
My name is Jessica Barker, Director of Lift Our Vote, and the spirit of Queen Mother lives on. It flows from generation to generation, and it is very important as the generations are removed from Queen Mother's generation that we understand that history, and we use that history to leverage our power at the polls. Vote, everyone.
Greetings, Calvin Hill Sr. from Powder Springs, Georgia. It's been a blessing just to be here to learn a little bit more about another black woman that has inspired and encouraged black people. Her strength and character, I think, has epitomized the right to vote, and we should all learn from that. To a great woman, and there are so many in this country today, but it's great to celebrate her today.
Vote like it's 1965. Her standing and speaking to Governor Wallace. It's time. It's been done, and we can be the difference. In the spirit of Queen Mother, Amelia Platts, Boynton Robinson. Voting is your ticket to first-class citizenship.
It is indeed a blessing and an honor to be here tonight. Let us continue the legacy. Let us remember from generation to generation, we all have our job to do. One plants, one waters, but God will always bring the increase. Let us vote.
I think it was a very, very memorable ceremony, and I feel like Amelia Boynton Robinson, if she was here, Miss Amelia, if she was here, she would definitely appreciate everything that's been said about her, and it enlightened me on who she actually is as a person, so I'm really grateful for this opportunity.
Boynton Robinson, a beautiful soul with a beautiful message for all.
May the Lord make his face shine down upon us and be gracious unto us. May the Lord grant us his peace. Amen.